Oh, eco-consciousness is sinking its roots into Singapore. More people want to protect and conserve the environment, and they're choosing to do that by changing consumption habits, volunteering, or even giving up the high life to be a voice for animal welfare. Kimberly Spikeman speaks to eco-warriors to find out what drives them.
Noelle Seat is a campaigns executive with the Animal Concerns Research and Education Society, or ACRES. A former lawyer, the 35-year-old animal lover left her cushy job and joined ACRES in March this year.
I was 10 years into practice in litigation, so it was a very difficult decision to make because, look, you're living the high life. You know, you've been living it for a decade, you're used to certain lifestyles. This meant a total change in my life, right? It also meant that there would be little career progression for me in the legal scene. And I faced a lot of objections. There are a lot of people calling me unrealistic and impractical.
But to Miss Seat, it was more important to make a difference.
When I reflect back on my life next time, I want to remember the most prominent, significant events of my life. And I know that if I didn't make that choice now, if I had chosen materialism over doing something for the welfare of animals, I would regret it.
She's among a growing number of people here taking environmental protection into their own hands. The Singapore Environment Council says more people are getting involved. It currently has 530 active volunteers in its network, about half of them signed up over the last 2 years.
These are people who actually come forward on their own, wanting to do something for the environment. Whether or not it's leading in beach cleanups or leading kids in helping them understand our environmental issues or our water story, it's a very good sign.
Easier access to information, especially online, has spurred greater awareness of global environmental issues, and that's moved the conversation beyond the basic issues of recycling and preventing water wastage.
People have started asking about, want to be empowered, to make a difference in terms of purchasing. How can they make a difference to stop companies from polluting and to stop them from burning?
Some eco-activists are going the extra mile to help people see how their choices impact the environment. Former MTV Asia host Nadia Hutagalung worked with Australian conservationist Tammy Matson to launch an education campaign called Let Elephants Be Elephants, about the illegal ivory trade and the demand in Asia.
People don't know that the elephant has to die for them to have ivory. And it is really common perception. Once people know, most of the time they say they will never buy ivory again.
This footage, taken from the campaign's YouTube channel, shows how she travelled to Africa to help film a documentary about the slaughter of these elephants, and it premiered on National Geographic channels across Asia in April. Animal welfare activists say Singapore remains a significant transit point for shipments of illegal ivory moving from Africa to Asia and even within Asia itself. These shipments are usually declared as something else, like waste paper or even marble sculptures.
Singapore does have a role to play because if illegal ivory comes through Singapore's ports and gets a stamp of approval from Singapore Customs, it can basically go anywhere in Asia and it can end up in China for sale or in Thailand for sale. So all Asian countries really have a role to play as transit countries. Not always,
Both women have also travelled around Asia to give talks on the issue. Increased participation in ground-up conversations show that Singaporeans are becoming more aware of how global environmental issues impact them. Olivia Chung has been organising informal get-togethers for people interested in environmental issues. Green Drinks Singapore, a non-profit group, started with 30, turning up for its first session in November 2007, to the current average turnout of between 50 and 150 each month. These sessions are a way to connect people, including the public, businesses, academia, and even the government, for knowledge sharing and collaboration opportunities.
From seeing new faces every month, I can tell that there are, new people interested in the topic, but also we have a lot of people coming from overseas who want to work in Singapore and are looking for green jobs. So it would be like any other job we have right now, except that it would be more about sustainability, environmental sustainability to be precise.
Ms. Chung also makes sure she walks the talk. As far as possible, she wears eco-friendly clothes, avoids using disposable cutlery, and even grows some of her own vegetables.
When purchasing products or services, I feel it's very important for me to look at the environmental footprint, as well as make ethical choices. So about 5 years ago, I decided that it was important for me to have an environmentally friendly diet. So I stuck to a vegetarian diet mostly, and then now I eat some fish.
And if food is any indicator of the shift toward greater eco-consciousness, supermarkets here have expanded their range of organic produce available and report a surge in sales despite the slightly heftier price tag. Now at fair price, organic produce generally costs about 1.5 times more. Now for example, this carton of organic eggs costs $3.95. And that's $1.40 more than its non-organic counterparts.
We will continue to bring in more organic products into fair price, introduce it to the customers. And in terms of display space in the supermarket, we will be also increasing space in the supermarket to cater for these growing needs of organic. So you can find that in most of our finest stores, you can find that we have a dedicated counter for organic products.
Organic produce is generally grown without using artificial fertilizers and pesticides and through sustainable farming practices. NTUC Fair Price has reported 10% year-on-year growth in sales of organic produce since 2008. While the Dairy Farm Group says there's been a steady increase in demand for organic produce at its cold storage and giant supermarkets, which has led to a growth in sales. And even as the green movement is gaining ground, its crusaders say that mindsets must shift if there is to be permanent and effective change. Now, they say the problem now is that a lot of people don't relate to environmental issues because they feel a disconnect from it. And there's a need to help them understand that this is a bigger societal issue where being environmentally friendly is a way of showing that you care for your fellow man.